Everyone, it is still Sunday, January 18th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass, and I decided to do two shows today. I actually already have tomorrow's shows prepped, and I wanted to do a lead-in to tomorrow's shows and kind of a piggyback off of previous shows. You'll see one of my videos that says the government is a satanic sex occult. And I decided, with all this research into the collaboration, unity of this literal cult that we're watching with the Epstein files, P. Diddy, all of this sexual deviancy between rich, powerful, and elite people, politicians. I thought I would do a little prequel into tomorrow's show, because tomorrow's show about Bohemian Grove, California is quite disturbing. So we're going to start tonight with the definition of cult. Cult, a group with intense devotion to a person, idea, or object, often characterized by manipulative control, isolation, extreme beliefs, and exploitation. Now, I would say the exploitation of children with the child sex trafficking, everywhere from Epstein to Turning Point USA, CPS, everything I've documented. My son, a victim of child sex trafficking, 1,592 days. Characterized by manipulative control. Mainstream media, manipulative control. Ben Shapiro, all of these feds, Nick Fuentes, Gary from Paramount Tactical, all of these Fed psyops, or the Fed slop as everyone is calling it, I would say that's manipulative control. Isolation. Can you get into a Mar-a-Lago costume party? Do you want to dress up like a puppy dog and go to Mar-a-Lago? That's isolation, because you can't. Extreme beliefs. I think raping, murdering, and selling children and lying about it, I think that's an extreme belief. So the reason I defined that is the definition of cult is because that's what this is. And that's what it's been for decades, dating back to the Sun Myung Moon of Korea, child sex trafficking, with the Barker, I believe it's Barker. Let me go back in my notes here. It wasn't Barker, it was the other, here it is, Sun Myung Moon. It was, let me find the organization, the Jerry Falwell, the Baptist churches, Holt Christian Services. So going back to 1950, the Sun Myung Moon cult, which is a cult, and the Holt Children's Services in global child trafficking based in Eugene, Oregon in 1956. This is a legitimate cult for more than half a century, running Hollywood, political America, mainstream media, everywhere, Wall Street. And before I get into tomorrow's show with the symbolism, with the rituals, and the sacrifice and the things these sick, evil people do, I thought I would do today's show. So knowing that a cult is a group with intense devotion to a person, idea, or object, often characterized by manipulative control, isolation, extreme beliefs, and exploitation. What would you say the Epstein files are? How many people are in the Epstein files from how many different walks of life? We have actors, actresses. Chris Tucker is in the Epstein files. We have Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Stephen Hawking, science people. We have world leaders. We have Ehud Barak, who was the prime minister of Israel at the time. The president, Bill Clinton of the United States. How is that not a cult? When you have scientists, billionaires, world leaders from around the world, actors, singers, you have all of these people, and the fact of what they do to these children. And that's where I'm going to go next is Hollywood. Look what Hollywood has done to Corey Haim, Corey Feldman, Macaulay Culkin, Justin Bieber. Poor Justin Bieber. Look at that guy when he was 13 years old when he first got introduced to Usher. And look at him now. Look at Macaulay Culkin when he was in Home Alone. And look at Macaulay Culkin now. Look at Corey Haim, Corey Feldman. Brittany Murphy, God bless her soul, she's dead. But look at how many lives these people, this cult, has destroyed. And it is a cult. There's no denying it. And think about R. Kelly, P. Diddy. How are these people still, it's just one here, one there get exposed. But the group as a collective whole just keeps going. It is a diabolical machine just chewing up innocent souls. And it's sick and disgusting. And look what, we talk about isolation, extreme beliefs, and exploitation. Look what they do to people who go against them. Look what happens when you stand up and expose the truth about this cult. Look at Mel Gibson. What did they do to him? Called him crazy. He got blacklisted from Hollywood. He had to pay for his own movies to be made. He couldn't get roles for a long time when he went against the cult. Look at Dave Chappelle. Everybody remember Dave Chappelle took $50 million, went to Africa. They said he was crazy, said he was smoking crack, discredited him, isolated him. Look at Britney Spears. This is what they do. They use psychological warfare. And this cult, with manipulative control, and my last episodes have been on mind wars, psychological warfare, defending yourself, and the child sex trafficking, how it's all tied together. Psyops for child sex trafficking, using mainstream media, politicians, Hollywood, movies, it goes on and on and on. So, it's not just the Epstein files, it's not just Hollywood, it's not just Pedophile Hill as I call it. Some people call it Capitol Hill, I call it Pedophile Hill, Predator Beach, Florida. It's not just in the mainstream on the grand stage like that. We're talking Letcher County, Kentucky, which is in Whitesburg, Kentucky. Does anyone remember this case? And this goes back to the psychological tactics of changing the channel, switching the story real quick before you get to the bottom of it. They'll always lead you in, oh, there was a tragic event today that happened. There was a shooting. And then you don't hear about what happened. You don't hear about closure. So what happened to the Orlando nightclub shooter? What happened? We knew there was a shooting at the Orlando nightclub. We knew like 40-something people were murdered or shot. What was the conclusion? Do you ever hear the conclusion with these people? No, because they don't want you to know what happens. All they want you to know is this tragic event happened. You should live in fear, and you should know that we, the government, are keeping you safe by lying to you, manipulating you, psychologically abusing you, emotionally blackmailing you, so we can be an evil cult doing whatever we want while you cower in fear behind your screen. So, Letcher County, Kentucky, in Whitesburg, Kentucky, District Judge Kevin Mullins was shot and killed by Sheriff Sean Steins. Do you remember that? Do you remember the sheriff going in the judge's chambers and shooting him and killing him while he was at work in his judge robe? Well, that judge was trafficking. That judge was sexually exploiting inmates in his jail. He was using his power of authority to abuse women. And he had been doing it for decades. The whole town knew about it. Everyone knew about it. And the sheriff couldn't take it anymore. And he decided to take matters in his own hands because he knew the legal system wouldn't work. Wonder why a sheriff would just go off and murder a judge for trafficking women and abusing his power. Maybe that's why the Epstein files aren't released. Because there's no justice for victims of rape, child trafficking, or child exploitation, because that is the backbone of this entire country's system. So that being said, we're gonna get into my story, which I've already shared with you at the premiere. You can go all the way back to the first episode, and we're gonna talk about Judge Kelly Hansen. So we have a Kentucky judge in Whitesburg, Kentucky. Who here's ever heard of a Whitesburg, Kentucky? I haven't. And I've traveled this country. I've lived in New York City. I lived in California. And I have literally traveled this country coast to coast more than once. I have been everywhere in this country, minus a few states. I've never heard of Whitesburg, Kentucky. And that judge was trafficking, using his position. Now, State Judge Kelly Hansen of Marietta, California, is doing the exact same thing. For 16 years, thousands of children kidnapped, molested, and sold, never to be found, dead and gone, sold, foreign nations, used as sex slaves. Who knows where these poor innocent children are? And Riverside County is covering all of this up. Just like in Kentucky, just like the Epstein files, just like Hollywood, they are a cult that if any outsiders tries to infiltrate them or expose them, they will shun you, discredit you, character assassinate you. They will blacklist you, keep you from working, threaten you, intimidate you, coerce you, pay you for your silence. They will do anything possible to protect the cult. And we'll go back to the definition. A group with intense devotion to a person, idea, or object, often characterized by manipulative control. Don't you think it's intense? Devotion? A cult is intense devotion. These people are collectively working together to rape, murder, and sell innocent children and mock us to our face and laugh in our face about it. And if it wasn't the case, where are the Epstein files? If it wasn't the case, why haven't I seen or heard from my son since 2021? When I walked into the FBI San Diego field office Monday, September 13th of 2021, with a folder full of evidence of child sex trafficking. And Riverside County covers it all up. So Candace Owens just talked about Riverside County the other day and how these TPUSA pastors seem to all have a connection to Riverside County. Greg Laurie from Harvest Church. Guess what? I gotta flip the page, we'll come back. So Greg Laurie of Harvest Church is currently in a federal lawsuit for child sex trafficking and sexual abuse of children. And guess what? For 20 years, it's being covered up. 20 years. This pastor, use that term loosely, it's sick what these people do in the name of God. This pastor, Greg Laurie of Harvest Church, federally sued for 20 years of covering up sex abuse and child trafficking. And these charges stem from Paul Havsgard. And guess where Paul Havsgard was sent to by the church? Paul Havsgard was sent to Romania by the Harvest Church of Riverside, California, to operate homes for vulnerable children in Romania. Now, where do you think those vulnerable children in Romania, how do you think they got to Romania? Where do you think they came from? I can tell you where they came from. They came from the United States of America. They came from Judges Kelly Hansen. They came from CPS. They came from Riverside County. They came from Southern California, where they're kidnapping these children, and then they're sending them over to Romania to traffic them. It's an international child sex trafficking ring. It's a satanic occult. That is satanic. Anyone who looks at a child and thinks of these vile, evil, sick, and disgusting things to do is absolutely satanic. You cannot believe in God or any higher power and have such a lack of humanity for innocent children. So, going back, Greg Laurie, Rob McCoy, Riverside County. We all know Rob McCoy, Navy, psychological operations, claims to be a pastor, stands up in the pulpit and gives lectures to Candace Owens that she needs to shut up and leave him alone, stands in the pulpit and talks about politics, stands in a pulpit and defends child sex traffickers and pedophiles. I've never seen him deliver one message from the Word of God, from the Bible. Not once. I've seen Rob McCoy in the pulpit, all kinds of videos all over YouTube. Never heard him preach from the Bible. Never heard anything from the Bible. I've heard a lot of self-defense of child sex trafficking, corruption, fraud, murder. I've heard a lot of that. And now we're going to go to Tim Thompson. Tim Thompson operates the 412 Temecula Church, Riverside County. Guess what Tim Thompson is affiliated with? Tim Thompson is affiliated with TPUSA. Tim Thompson operates the 412 Church in Temecula. And guess who they're affiliated with? MAGA. Guess what he does? He delivers political messaging. Guess what else he does? He uses his money. He owns a PAC. Tim Thompson, a pastor for 412 Church in Temecula, owns a political action committee. Where did it go? PAC. A political action committee where he funnels money in and he pays to have people installed in certain positions where he wants influence and control. For instance, Tim Thompson engineered a school board takeover. He took his PAC money, paid candidates to run for school board, and then had them installed on the school board so he could implement his ideology. So he could brainwash these children into whatever sick, evil thing he wants to do, which from the looks of it, he wants to take children in from Riverside County, send them to Romania, and traffic them for sex. That's what the facts say. That's what the truth is. And now he's loading up school boards to manipulate our children. Yeah, a Turning Point USA. Let's think about that statement. Turning point. It's definitely a turning point. They're trying to turn America into something. That's for sure. And they've done a pretty good job of it, I would say. So guess where else Tim Thompson worked? Riverside County Sheriff's Department as the chaplain. Chad Bianco operates, and he's the sheriff of Riverside County. He's the sheriff who makes $593,000 a year as a county sheriff. He operates the most deadly jail system in California, well documented. He's currently running for governor. And Chad Bianco gave $5,000 to Tim Thompson's political action committee, to his PAC. Do you see how these people are a cult working together, using their money to buy people to install in positions, to be their puppets, to do what they want? And Chad Bianco, if you Google Chad Bianco sex abuse, just type that in your Google bar and start reading all the stories of all the deputies, of all the lawsuits, of all the cover-ups, of all the... They tried to pay victims in Riverside County, victims of sexual assaults by Riverside County Sheriff's deputies. They tried to pay them $1,000 to sign a non-disclosure, agreement not to sue. Basically, they tried to buy their silence for $1,000 after women were sexually assaulted by Riverside County Sheriff's deputies. And this is a common practice in Riverside County. So these TPUSA pastors, Rob McCory, Greg Laurie, Tim Thompson, all coming out of Riverside County, all affiliated Riverside County Sheriff's Department. Tim Thompson was the chaplain there. So don't tell me law enforcement is not covering up child sex trafficking through these churches who are not running nothing but psychological operations so they can child sex traffic children. This is the most vile and disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. And this is a reminder, my son is a victim and has been for 1,592 days of child sex trafficking by State Judge Kelly Hansen of Marietta, California, in Riverside County, California. And evidently Riverside County, California is sending children to Romania to be trafficked from Greg Laurie and Paul Haverston. So, and I'm going to remind you one more time of the cult definition. We're going to go back. Cult, a group with intense devotion to a person, idea, or object, often characterized by manipulative control, isolation, extreme beliefs, and exploitation. Now, don't tell me this isn't a cult. I'm going to, read that definition. So, where are we at? We're at Greg Laurie, Harvest Church, federally sued for 20 years, covering up sex abuse, child trafficking. Paul Havsgard. So, that's basically all I have for this show, and that's a prerequisite to tomorrow's show, which I've already got written up here, which is going to be on Bohemian Grove, California. And that is where these cult members meet once a year to conduct satanic rituals, all documented by Alex Jones. There's other media outlets, and this has been documented for decades. The Bohemian Grove, who has year-round private security, and these members You can be a member of this private club, and it's sick and it's disgusting. But the reason I'm exposing all this is not just for my son. It's for all the children. And it's for the truth. You know, I've told everyone this for years. Anyone who's ever lied to me, from some of my closest friends to my wife, ex-wife, whoever it is, bosses, I don't care. It's when you lie to me, you think I'm stupid. That's why I get upset when people lie to me. I could care less what you're lying about. I really could. I could care less what you do with your life. It's your life. But don't come to me and lie to me and insinuate that I am stupid, because I don't like being called stupid. I especially don't like being called stupid in a subtle, what's the word I'm looking for? In a subtle, ridiculing way. And when you lie to me, I feel like you are subtly ridiculing me, insinuating that I'm stupid, and I'm going to believe your lie. Don't do that. And the American people, I think, as a collective whole, I think that's why we're gravitating away from mainstream media and into these podcasts, into the Candace Owens and the Ian Carrolls, Coach Collins, Baron Coleman's. We're sick of having our intelligence insulted and basically being called stupid by stupid people. Because I'm going to tell you, some of these people on Fox News are stupid, literally stupid. And I don't understand how people even watch them anymore. It's like listening to the teacher from Charlie Brown. Womp, 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 womp. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is. And before I get off here tonight, we're at the 22-minute mark. I try to keep them around 30 minutes for attention span. So, because if you give too much information, it kind of loses its zest, loses its zeal. So we try to keep these around 30 minutes. So first, I'm going to read a Bible verse. And I'm just going to go off the top. This is still Leviticus from this morning. Leviticus 19:1. And I'm just going to read a little bit. And I'm going to point out something in here, and I've told people this for years, because I've gave my life to Christ. When I was a kid, I was baptized and saved, and I went through the normal church until I was about 14. And then my mom said, it's your choice. You don't have to go to church. I'm not going to make you go to church anymore. If you want to, you can. If you don't go. And I didn't go anymore for a long time. And I still don't go to a formal church. I read my Bible every day. I spend time with God every day. I pray every day. But I don't need a building. I don't need some hack, some naval psyops officer trying to lecture me from the Bible. I can read the Bible for myself. I don't need to go to a building to have a relationship with God. And that being said, I'll tell you why I'm saying all that in just a minute. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, speak to all the congregation of the sons of Israel and say to them, you shall be holy, for I, the Lord your God, am holy. Every one of you shall reverence his mother and his father, and you shall keep my Sabbaths. I am the Lord your God. Do not turn to idols or make yourselves molten gods. I am the Lord your God. Now, the reason I wanted to point that out, I read that before I made this video. There's a line in here, and I've told people this for years. They've asked me, are you a Christian? Are you a Catholic? Or are you Baptist? Are you Protestant? Are you Mormon? And I tell them the same thing every time. I am holy. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says to be a Catholic. I've read this Bible. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says to be Jewish. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says to be Muslim. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where it says to be Protestant or Baptist. The Bible that I read, this is the John MacArthur Study Bible. So you can get a good look. And this is an excellent Bible for interpreting the Bible, understanding the Bible, breaking down the Bible, the language. The Lord says, be holy. And when you think of holy, a lot of people might think holier than thou, like you're better than anyone. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about being your best spiritually, which means don't go against your own spirit. Don't lie to yourself. And in order to not lie to yourself, you definitely can't lie to other people, because the minute you lie to other people, the first person you're actually lying to is yourself. And when you lie to yourself, you lose your character. You lose your spirituality. You lose your morality. You don't know who you are anymore. After you tell so many lies to so many people, you no longer have character. You are a character. And you need to understand that's what lying does. Lying converts you from having character to becoming a character. So don't be a character in some fake reality show by running around telling lies to everyone. Be your true, authentic self, liked or hated, respected, don't matter. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to serve God, tell the truth, and do the best I can do every single day. And that's what I do. And I think making these videos, telling the truth about this corruption, trying to protect these children, trying to expose this cult that is raping, murdering, and selling children and lying about it, laughing about it, covering it up, I think that's the best thing I can do. And I had a guy ask me a couple of weeks ago, he said, what would you do if they wanted to kill you? I'm ready to die. I'm not scared of dying. I'm in a hurry. In the words of Mike Tyson, I'm in a hurry to meet my maker. I'm in a hurry. I have no fear. None whatsoever. I fear one man, and that's God and God alone. I don't fear the president. I don't fear any intelligence agencies. I definitely don't fear these corrupt police. I don't fear anything. This book tells me I'm going to be prosecuted, persecuted, ridiculed. This book tells me I'm going to go through trials and tribulations. But I am supposed to serve the Lord my God, no matter what. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's exactly why I make these videos. And that being said, I'm going to end tonight's show. We're going to make 2 phone calls. We're going to call the Riverside County Sheriff's Department. And we're going to see their response. I'll put them on speaker, and you'll see this is a cult. This is a legitimate cult. And I will tell them they're a cult.
Emergency line. If this is an emergency,
I will tell them to their face.
Hold while I transfer your call. Dispatch Raver.
Hey Raver, this is Walter with Truth News, and I'm doing a story. You're live on YouTube right now, and I'm doing a story on the sexual occult you guys are a part of out there with the TPUSA pastors, Judge Kelly Hansen, Chad Bianco, you guys covering up child sex trafficking. Do you have anything to say about this? Raver, again, you're on a podcast. You're on YouTube right now. Truth News 963 is the actual channel. And I'm at the end of my video. I'm recording live right now. And I just did a story on your satanic occult and you guys child sex trafficking and how these TPUSA pastors like Greg Laurie, Rob McCoy, Tim Thompson are all based out of Riverside County. And how you guys have been child sex trafficking and covering it up. I know Greg Laurie with Harvest Church is currently being sued federally for 20 years of covering up child sex abuse. And I know Tim Thompson with the 412 Church also has political ties. And Tim Thompson was the chaplain for Riverside County Sheriff's Department before he was running 412 Church in Temecula. And he's a part of TPUSA who are trafficking children to Romania. So do you have anything to say about this as Riverside County Sheriff's Department dispatch? Would you like to file any charges?
Well, do you have anything new to report?
This is what I get for 1,592 days. Trevor, you're on YouTube right now. Do you have anything to say about these allegations and these facts that I'm stating? Tim Thompson with the 412 Church.
If you don't have anything new to report, I'm going to go and disconnect so you have a good night.
That's what we get, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we get. Let's call Capitol Hill Police. This will be my last phone call, then we'll end the show. I just want to show you guys what these people are. Hi, this is United States Capitol Hill Police Intelligence, Protective Intelligence, correct? This is Walter Bass. You're on Truth News 963 on the podcast, and I'm concluding a story about the satanic occult child sex trafficking children. Beginning in Riverside County, and these pastors like Rob McCoy from TPUSA, Greg Laurie from Harvest Church, and Tim Thompson from 412 Church in Temecula how this is being covered up for 20 years, the child sex trafficking of children through churches, including Paul Havsgard with the Harvest Church and Greg Laurie under a federal lawsuit right now for 20 years of covering up sex abuse and child trafficking from Riverside County to Romania. And my son, Grayson Bass, is a victim of child sex trafficking for 1,592 days. And again, this is Truth News on YouTube. Do you have anything to say about this? This is every day, ladies and gentlemen, every day. I call these people every day. And these people, by the way, they have a $1 billion annual budget that I'm on the phone with right now, not saying a word. You hear that silence? This is what $1 billion of taxpayer money gets you every year. Nothing, ladies and gentlemen, nothing. It gets children kidnapped. It gets children molested and sold. We know the trafficking from TPUSA to Romania, Erica Kirk's Romanian Angels, Tim Thompson, Greg Havsgard. We've got all these facts. So we're going to conclude the show tonight with this call on Capitol Hill Police Intelligence. You see the response we get when we bring up the truth about child sex trafficking by the satanic occult of the United States government. Would you like to say anything, sir? This is what you get for $1 billion a year, ladies and gentlemen. You have a good night, sir. So that's what you get for $1 billion a year in the United States of America for taxes. That's what you go to work for every day. That's what you work overtime for. That's why you can't spend time with your wife and your children. That's why you can barely afford groceries or pay your electric bill. So people can pick up the phone, sit in silence, and act like nothing's happening. That's what we're paying for. We're paying for a giant show of a cult, child sex trafficking our children, using our money to do it, and pick up a phone and either ignore us or say, that's not happening. Nothing's happening. So ladies and gentlemen, I'll please ask you to like, subscribe, and share this video. I will make these videos. Tomorrow's show is going to be on Bohemian Grove, California. I encourage you, as I do with every show, everything I say in these videos, look it up for yourself. Read about it for yourself. Take notes on it for yourself. I'm trying to lay this out in a very linear fashion so you can follow the facts and evidence from beginning to end. And not only that, I'm putting in a lot of supporting evidence. So not only can you see the small pictures, but you can see the big pictures. Because there's always two perceptions. There's the macro and there's the micro, which is the small version, and then there's the big version. So what we're trying to do on this show of Truth News is combine the big and small versions together. So some people don't have a capacity to see the big picture, and some people don't have the capacity to see the small picture. Some people see a forest, some people see trees. And what we're trying to do is accommodate both ends of the spectrum and just really wake people up and trying to get the word out that our country is in despair, our country is in distress. You see the flag upside down. Ladies and gentlemen, we are in trouble in the United States of America, and it is directly by the actions taken by our taxpayer-funded public servants. So please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Everyone have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.